Hello and welcome to the Detoxicity podcast. I am Mike Joseph. I produce and host and created this show. I thank you for listening. If you are new to this podcast, if this is your first time listening, welcome aboard. If you are a regular listener of this podcast, I thank you for hanging in and sticking with us through the last year and a half or so. It is really my distinct pleasure to bring you these conversations. I find them illuminating even as a listener and not just the host. If you are interested in exploring this podcast any further, feel free to hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you're using to listen. Also, please feel free to vote us up on those podcast platforms so we appear near the top of the search and move up in the rankings. And by all means, give us a rating if you like the show, if you hate the show, if you feel somehow conflicted about the show, please rate, subscribe, and comment. You can follow me on Instagram at DetoxPod Guy, and you can follow me on Twitter at TizMikeJoseph. You can even drop me a line via old-fashioned email, detoxpod@gmail.com. Also, feel free to reach out via email if you know somebody that would be a good fit for this show, or if you yourself would be interested in talking to me for an episode of this show. Once again, I really, really appreciate you listening. I think these are important messages that we're sending. These are important stories we're telling, and I hope this all continues. Once again, you are appreciated. I hope that you and yours are taken care. Evan Thomas lives in the suburbs of Atlanta, and he works at a college. Evan is also my brother. Some of you know the story, but Evan and I discovered each other via 23andMe less than 6 months ago. And when we had this conversation, it was less than 24 hours after we'd met in person for the first time. It's a pretty surreal experience. It is a pretty surreal conversation. We talk about how we discovered one another. We talk about our experiences with our shared father. We talk about growing up in the same vicinity as one another without actually meeting the other person. We talk about the ridiculous similarities that we have and nature versus nurture. Outside of our relationship, we also talk about the fact that Evan is now settling down and got engaged to his longtime partner. We talk about interracial relationships. We talk about putting the player card away and so much other stuff. This is just a fantastic conversation, and I don't just say that because I'm part of it, but everybody listening to the show, I would like you to be introduced to my little brother, Evan.
Okay, well, I'm Evan Thomas. I'm 31 years old. I live in McDonough, Georgia, but I'm originally from Brooklyn. I'm here in Brooklyn visiting my big brother. I don't know. I like stories first and foremost, so whichever way I can hear a story, whether it's through music or film or comic books or sitcoms, then I like all those things.
Well, this is a story.
Okay, yeah, this is a story.
This
podcast.
Is a story. Yeah, so I happen to be the big brother in question. And this is our second day of meeting each other in person.
Second day.
We've only known each other for maybe like 6 months.
6 or so months, yeah, since March.
And prior to that, you knew about me, but I did not know about you.
Awkward.
It's super weird. So I don't even know how to go into that. You obviously knew I existed at some point.
I did.
And I should actually go further back in the story. We have the same father.
We do.
Different mothers. I was not raised by my father. I have clearly met him at some point early in my life, but do not remember him.
Right.
And you are significantly younger than I am. So Dad had a whole nother life.
Yeah, several lives.
He
a few
had
lives.
A bit of living by the time that you rolled around.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was, but you had him in your life.
Yeah, somewhat.
For a period of time.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, you realized that I existed, or that the idea of me that was a more than one dimensional.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly. Me and our dad. I think we have a good relationship now, but it's been maybe 14 years in the making. It all started with a visit when I was about 16 or 17. That's when I first heard your name. Our dad was inebriated at the time, so I don't know. I take everything with a grain of salt. When somebody is in that space, it kind of just came out. We were sitting down, and we were having one of those bonding moments, and then he just is like, you know, you have a brother, and he told me your name.
Did it just like come out of nowhere?
It did come out of nowhere. It was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? It's only me. I'm the only boy. And I don't know. I don't really remember why I didn't prod more or like push more. I guess it was too weird or too strange, or it felt like it may have been something that he told me that he didn't really want to tell me. It kind of just came out.
Okay.
So I never pushed. I never pushed my mom, and from that point on, we were just building our relationship.
But did your mom know about me?
So fast forward to maybe to the end of 2020, it became clear that my mom did know.
Okay.
But she also did not push or prod our dad Joseph for any, like, it's just so weird. It was just something that happened, but it was almost like it didn't happen. It was strange. No one was very committed.
Sure.
So I committed myself to it, and I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too. And I guess I can pick the story up from there. I've been on a mission for as long as I've known that Joseph existed. I've obviously known my mom my whole life. My mom, to my knowledge, had been with the same guy since I was, as far as I know, she'd been with the same guy. She got married when I was 4. They were together before that. They've been married for 40 years now. Somewhere along the line, I assumed he was my father.
Makes sense.
And then I remember I must have been like 13 or 14, and I was here in Brooklyn at my grandparents' house, and I brought home a shitty report card or something, and my grandmother was mad at me, and she goes, "Leo's not your real father." I was like, "What?" I think I just kind of like looked at her.
Yeah, like...
And it was, I guess, similar to what you went through with Dad and your mom. I never pushed the issue, and it was never brought up again. Like, me and my grandmother, until the day she died, never talked about it again.
Wow.
My mom and I never had a discussion about it. And it was kind of like I was waiting for her to bring it up.
Right.
Because I was like, okay, obviously, was this like a sexual assault, or is he dead?
Right.
I was just like, I'm not going to push the issue. So maybe 2007, 2008, I'm talking to my aunt and her husband and her family. My aunt I'm very close to, and it was Christmas dinner or something like that. And we're talking about my mom, and at some point it came up that we had never talked about who my father was. And my aunt told me a little bit of the story, what she knew, which was that my mom and my dad were a couple. They were in a relationship. They were living together, which I don't think I found out until much later. And he had knocked up another person at the same time my mom got pregnant with me, or around the same time. And it basically came down to a decision for, my mom and my dad were engaged, ready to get married. And whatever the circumstances were, he ended up marrying the other girl, or was pressured to marry the other girl, or whatever it was. So he was out of the picture at that point. Right. And I thought that it all happened before I was born.
Right.
But coming to find out, that our first and middle names are reversed.
Yes.
But we have the same name. And after starting a dialogue with you, he has a picture of me.
Yep.
And so we've met before, which I didn't know either.
Right.
So it's just kind of like I've had bits and pieces of the story, and I had written a letter to my mom. This was back in 2008. Just kind of like talking about a bunch of stuff, but also, at that point I was 32 years old, and we never had a conversation about who he was and what led to him not being in my life, right?
Right.
So I never got a letter response. I think she tried to call me a couple of times, and I really just wasn't ready to have a conversation And I remember speaking to my sister, because my mom has 3 kids with my stepdad.
Okay.
And she was like, Mom's really mad at that letter. She's really upset, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, do I want to have this confrontation right now? And then just years went by.
Right.
You know, we spoke between, like, my grandmother died pretty much 2 years ago to this date almost, give or take a few days. I think it was September 6th or September 8th, I don't remember which. But between, I want to say it was like October 2008 and September 2019, she and I did not see each other. So almost 11 years. We spoke on the phone once during that time and texted on occasion. So obviously that letter, and more than the letter, just kind of the acknowledgement that, hey, there's some shit that you should have told me at some point that you didn't tell me, drove a wedge between us.
Right.
So after my grandmother died, to make a really long story short, I was like, I'm going to find this shit out for myself.
Right.
I knew about genealogy sites and DNA testing stuff, and I was like, it's a really long shot that anybody from my family is on 23andMe, but I can afford this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what happens. And I joined 23andMe probably like the end of 2019.
Okay.
And, you know, a year goes by, and it's just like 3% match, 4% match, 0.5% match. Random Caucasian people are coming up, like all this stuff. I'm related to these people, but they're not close relations.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4th cousins, 3rd cousins, all that kind of stuff. So then I left it alone for a while. I found out some stuff about my ethnic background. I was like, that's cool, that's interesting. But there were no matches coming up that were meaningful at all. Everything was 4% or less. So I'm here sitting at home one day, finishing my work day. It's like 5:45, 5:50. I see an email pop up from 23andMe. I'm like, I haven't looked in a minute. Let me go on the site and take a look. And I go on the site, and you came up. And we were like a 28% match or some shit like that. I wish I could go on the site and look now to see what the exact percentage was.
I could pull
Do
it up.
You have it on your phone?
I do. I keep it.
Oh, shit.
Just in
Wow.
case. Hold on.
27.8? Some shit like that.
It's high. It's
Yeah.
way higher than everybody else. Oh, 25.5.
25.5. Oh, see, I thought it was more than that. But still. 25.5. And then it also tells you what the relation is.
Yeah.
Right.
It said he may be your uncle.
What?
Or he may be your brother. That's what originally
It didn't
popped
say
up
for me anything about an uncle.
Oh, it said you may have been, this person is maybe your uncle. It's maybe your brother. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's my brother. I mean, I know it's him.
Oh, it straight up said to me, this is your brother.
That's crazy.
I don't even think it said maybe.
I wonder, it did ask me to confirm what it was. So
Okay.
maybe it said brother because I chose brother.
Okay.
I don't know. Because I was on there, you weren't on there like immediately, right? When, like, it took you a little bit to log on and
Right.
see that I was there.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember there being a maybe part.
Right.
I think it legit was like, motherfucker, this is your brother.
And it's crazy because I feel like maybe subconsciously I was trying to get closer to you. But there's also this other stuff, just being first generation American and wanting to have kind of a more defined idea of where you came from. I am still in a very committed long-term relationship.
You are engaged.
Yes, we are engaged. Thank you. And, you know, we're talking about children and stuff like that. And her background is a little bit more clear-cut than mine. And so when the opportunity to do 23andMe, it was kind of like a 2 birds with 1 stone.
Stone
It's
kind
like,
of thing, right.
yeah, like, let's find out some more about our background. And I remember telling Genevieve, my fiance, he's going to be on here.
You were confident that
I just had this feeling that you didn't know that things for you were way more ambiguous than it was for me.
Right.
And I thought, well, if I was you, this is what I would do. Just typing in the name that I knew like 20 times into Google, which is what I did for you years ago. I never got any hits. You never popped up. But I also think I wasn't searching as hard.
Okay.
It felt like it was something. I felt like I had some knowledge that I wasn't supposed to have, and I didn't really want that power. I didn't really want it sucks to say baggage,
right.
but all the other things
There's
that
so
come
much
with
other
it.
stuff that comes with it.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly. And
Absolutely.
I don't think I was ready for it up until last year. So
But so we matched,
yes,
but you knew that we matched before I knew we matched.
I did.
And you, the funniest shit to me is that you requested me on LinkedIn,
I did.
of all places.
Yeah.
And I accepted it and didn't put two and two together.
Right.
I was just like, oh, this is some kid, like, whatever. And you also got cold feet.
I didn't
guess.
message you or anything.
Right, yeah.
No, yeah.
Did you, like, get cold? You got...
You know what? It was one of those things where, like, okay, so I'm very set up to where I do things when I feel ready.
Right.
You know, unless things just happen. And I don't know what my mentality was. I don't know if it was just like, he's going to go on here and see. This guy kind of looks like me.
Right.
And
I should have noticed, because when I saw you on 23andMe, like, I was like, you know, you see thing where it's like, brother, and I'm like, I'm dubious. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, LinkedIn was the social media that I used the most.
Really?
I think at the time I was off Instagram. I was Instagram burnt out, and I had my fiance Genevieve look for you. She's really versed with that stuff, and she found you. And I remember the first thing she said was like, "It's Mike Joseph," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, his name is It's Mike Joseph. And then she shows the screen to me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what type of shit is this? Because I knew your name was Mike.
Did you think she was trolling you or something?
No, I did not. I knew that it was one of those things, it just happened. So I guess I could go back a little bit.
Sure.
So I went to grad school. I met some close friends in grad school. I did one big reading for my thesis. Years later, I'm talking to one of my grad school friends, and they just flippantly mention like, oh yeah, I have a recording from when you did your thesis reading. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know you recorded it. Send it to me. And I'm listening to this recording, and I'm like, this isn't me. Like, the voice sounds just like mine, but the story is not mine. And it was just like mind fuck.
Did you think it was some, like, deep fake shit?
I thought it was something crazy. I don't know what I thought. I just know that this isn't me.
Right.
This isn't me. And
yeah, I mean, you know what words come out of your mouth.
exactly.
Right.
I'm like, this isn't my story.
Right.
Like, I don't have any stories about uncles or anything like that. Like, the thing that I read my thesis about was, you know, my stepdad. And I was just, it was weird. We went back and forth. She was like, no, this is you. You're mistaken. I'm like, no, that's not me.
How is somebody going to tell you that you are you when you know who you are?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, why? Like, I'm me. I know me. You know me, but not like I know me. You know what I mean?
Seriously.
And that's when the wheels really started turning again. When I really started thinking about you. And where I really, like, said, well, okay, maybe I'm going to really look. And it really took, like, 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes of typing in maybe 4 or 5 versions of your last name. I got something really close. That Y, man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, my real last name, for those of you online who don't know it, is a bit more difficult to spell than Joseph.
Yes, it is.
Which is part of the reason why I use Mike Joseph for things like this podcast. Because I've been trying to get people to say correctly and pronounce and spell correctly my last name for my entire life, and the shit is exhausting.
Hey,
and I don't, exactly, and I don't feel like doing it anymore.
I hear that.
So Mike Joseph just seems like a much easier, like, you don't have to, no one's going to ask how to spell that.
Right, it's very smooth. It's basic in a good way.
It's like John Smith.
Yes.
You don't have to ask somebody
Mike
how to spell
Joseph.
that. Yeah.
Yes. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And yeah, you popped up, looking at your face for the first time. I definitely cried.
Oh.
I definitely teared up. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, that's my brother. This is my brother. This is my brother. This is my brother. And I got a little bit of background on what you did, and I'm like, oh, he's into music like me. I remember going to my mom and saying, Mom, look at this person.
Did you not give her any background?
No, at first I just said, look at this person.
Okay.
And I was like, this person looks like me. He's like, she kind of looks like you, but that's like what my mom would say. I'm like, Mom, this is my brother. And She kind of, I'm trying to remember exactly what she said, but she almost gave me the idea that she knew that I had a brother, but it wasn't something that was like, this is a fact.
Right.
It became a fact that night after seeing you, knowing your name, knowing that everything, it's obvious.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at me and you look at you, we are very clearly related.
We are related. We are related. And if you put our father in there, it's like we're definitely his.
Yeah.
I remember when I was visiting Georgia a few years ago, when our sister Carla was at the door. She was coming towards the house and I was waving at her, and she gave me a hug and a kiss, but she didn't know who I was.
Okay.
She didn't know who I was. I was sitting on the couch and she was talking, and somebody said my name, and she goes, "Yeah, that's my brother. That's my little brother. I miss him so much." And one of them was like, "He's sitting right there." And she turns around and she loses her mind. Like, absolutely loses her mind. She's crying. She's yelling. She's like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." She was like, "When I saw you at the door, I was just like, who is this motherfucker? He looks like Daddy." And that was it. That was it. She just left it at that. And it's really insane. Genetics are crazy.
Genetics are crazy.
Crazy. Because it's not really just how we look. There's a lot of other things that are very eerie.
Yeah.
The vibe.
The way we speak.
Yes.
The art we like. It is like it really makes you think about like nature versus nurture.
Yes.
Because obviously we didn't grow up together. We were not around each other.
Right.
But I felt connected to you very quickly.
Pretty much the first time we spoke, I kind of was like, I already feel comfortable with this. I could see this person tomorrow.
Right.
I could see him tomorrow and hang out.
Right.
It wasn't anything. It took a long time to get to the point where we knew about each other, but once we knew about each other,
it was like almost
We
instantaneous.
knew each other the whole time, yeah.
And then, like, I remember, like, the first time we FaceTimed,
Yeah.
and, like, looking at your facial expressions and all that stuff, I was like, this is creepy.
Expressive eyebrows. Very eyebrow.
It bugged me out.
Yeah.
It's so hard to explain, but it was kind of like looking into a mirror.
It was.
And even now, like yesterday, I told you this last night, like, you're sitting on the couch and we're talking to each other, and I was like, this is weird. It's like I'm outside my body having a conversation with another version of me.
Yeah, I was looking at those frames, those glass frames.
Yeah.
I was looking at those exact frames on Warby Parker. I wanted them.
Yeah.
And you have them.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay.
It's like we have the same head.
Yes.
Glasses.
Yes.
Same beard.
Our voice, we have the
Voices are
nice
similar.
light voice.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
But we didn't grow up together. We didn't.
But we did kind of grow up in similar environments,
Right.
I guess. Being in New York, kind of having to spend some time away from New York, having a stepfather.
Right.
Those things were very similar, but we didn't grow up in the same household.
We didn't grow up with the same group of people around us.
Yes, that's true. That's
We
true.
grew up in two completely different familial environments.
Right, yeah.
So it's just weird that, and I felt like the things in common relationship with people before,
Right.
but to have the things in common that we have, then to look like somebody and sound like somebody, or sound so similar,
Yeah.
that thing I've never really had.
I've never had it. I've had, of course, people that I vibe with,
Right.
get along, conversations like a tit for tat. It's
Right.
like almost like it's a script.
It's good chemistry.
Yes, but never was like, this person is like, it's like, oh, that's my big brother. Like that's my brother. And it's spooky. I know yesterday you were saying that you were looking at me, and like here I was like not looking at you,
Right.
and looking off, trying not to look at you too long.
Why is he staring?
Why is he staring? I don't know. Of course, there's the anxiety about it.
Sure.
There's also just, I am so used to like having to work towards being comfortable that the idea of being instantly comfortable there's fear there.
Sure.
You're like, this is almost too easy. Like it's too easy. Why is it so easy? And it's crazy because I think the only other person that I felt that with is our dad. Like where it's like I should have all of these feelings that should kind of keep us far apart, but you just get drawn in. It just becomes something that should have been.
Right.
And I think that's where, if there is any sadness involved with everything, it's with that idea of what should not, what could have been, what should have been, what should have been.
Yeah.
We should have been a part of each other's lives sooner. But I do feel like we met at the perfect
The right time.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, when did you decide that you were gonna tell Dad about this?
Oh man, there was a hesitation. I forgot why we went to go see him. Me and Genevieve went to go see him, and I just texted him. Okay, so the reason why it's so secretive and there was so hesitancy is because this entire time I thought this was something that was told to me that wasn't supposed to be told to me.
Sure.
I didn't even remember if he remembered. I didn't even know if he
remembered
telling me.
Right.
It never came up again.
Right.
So I said, hey, I have to talk to you about something. He says, okay, let's go get a drink via text. He goes to the door for the basement and he comes up with this very excuse like, come on, I want to show you something. So I went down and we're having a beer at his bar, and I don't remember what I said. I hadn't said what happened yet, but he goes, you found him. And I'm like, okay, that's what the fuck number one.
Right.
And then Gabby, our younger sister, comes down, and he goes to Gabby, hey Gabby, go on my desk and bring down that picture of Mikey. And there goes what the fuck number two. I'm like, okay, so this is a known thing that I thought was an unknown thing.
His younger kids, obviously.
All of them know. Amanda, our older sister, well, yeah, my older sister.
I mean, our my younger sister.
Your younger,
yeah.
She knew. She looked for you. I had no idea that they knew. I had no idea that this was a
It was
thing.
a secret to
it was
you
only.
It feels like.
Yes.
I wonder why.
I just think it was one of those things where, well, I know that he said, I don't think he knows or thinks that a relationship with you, at least when I told him, would work or be smooth. But from the get-go, he was 100% for us building a relationship with you.
Right.
And so that was kind of just my green light to keep it going. Every decision that I made from the moment that I told him, from the moment that I sent the picture of yourself to you, has just been what I wanted to do.
Sure.
I don't care what he wants. Gabby asked me some questions about you, and I was like, yeah, he's cool. So yeah, I kind of knew I wanted to tell him from the jump. I didn't know how or when. I wanted to establish a relationship, or at least speak with you first before I said anything to him, and that's what I ended up doing. Just so if there was anything between you and him that I could kind of be like a conduit for that, but also not. I'm not gonna push that. I'm like, you guys, you're both grown men at this point. Like, you decide what you want to do. And yeah, I saw the picture of you. I'm like, oh yeah, there goes me again as a little baby. And I remember sending it to you, and you like hearting it and liking it, and then like an hour later saying, well, I guess the real question is this you or me?
Right.
And I'm like, that's you.
I mean, I honestly didn't know. It could have been, I mean,
yeah, you said you'd never seen a picture.
I'd never seen a picture of myself that young.
Yes, and it was not a copy of a copy. It was
the OG picture.
It was the OG picture, and I think it had your name,
which is held up very well, by the way. If that's an OG picture.
I mean, what? Yeah, I mean, obviously, some care on our father's part to preserving that picture, and it was on his desk.
Right.
It was on his desk, and it's so funny because in the desk. And in another desk in the house, that's where I found all the pictures that I stole. Pictures of me when I was younger that I never saw. Pictures of my sisters that I never saw. Pictures of our dad when he was younger. Just jacked them right from the drawer because I'm big into pictures. So yeah, man.
That's such a bug out.
It's super bugged out, man.
I mean, what was his reaction when you confirmed that we'd been speaking?
All right, so our dad, he's one of the coolest MFers that I know. Very cool.
It's just like a poker face.
Very swaggy.
Alright.
Very smooth. For like a split second he wasn't. And it was the first time in my life that I've ever seen that wall of coolness just vanish for a little bit. It looked very vulnerable. I'm really big into the vibes and people's expressions and the air. And for a second, he wasn't like Dad. He was like Joseph, and he was somewhere else. And then he kind of comes back really quick. He was really surprised, but it seemed like he was happy that I found you. My sister Amanda, very happy that I found you. Always wanted to know you, but I guess didn't have the resources or the will
Sure.
at the time. Since after that, we haven't really talked much about it. He would say like, "Have you spoken to Mike?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've spoken to him," and just trying to be as chill about it. Don't want to like really like go into the person you are, because I'm like, that's for him to
find out. Right.
find that out. I like him. I like him a lot. We talk a lot.
But that was a process.
Yes.
Because I don't, from what you've told me, it wasn't always that way.
Or what about what?
That he was a cool person.
Yeah. Okay. So that's that. I think, and I said that, and after like ruminating on it more, I think a lot of it was based off of what I thought he was like. So here's this guy that's always been cool, always been fun, but I'm getting all this information from third parties. I don't have any firsthand experience of him being this person.
Right.
So I think through my childhood and through high school, it was very frustrating. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, "Oh, have you spoken to your dad?" I'm like, "No, what? Like, what are you talking about? I don't know his number."
Right.
More like, "Oh, I saw your dad. He was at like a party at." I'm like, "What? Like, how is my cousin seeing my dad more than me?" And I think with him, when I actually was around him, I was very resistant to liking him. Very resistant. I didn't want to. And it wasn't even like he was really trying to get me to like him. It was just, it's easy to like him. It's very easy to be around him.
We're a charming bunch, Evan.
Very charming, very charming, very charming. And my mom's been cool with him. Like, my mom's cool with him. Like, my mom never said anything negative about him. She never really said anything positive about him. But it was never negative. It was always, "That's your father." I always knew that he was my father. I knew that he had taken a job out of state and went for it. I wanted that to hurt me. You know what I mean? I think that's a weird phrasing, but I think that's what it felt like. It should hurt me. It felt like it should, like, he abandoned me.
Sure.
He abandoned me. We didn't really talk much. I talked to his former wife way more than I talked to him. She kind of pushed for us to have a relationship. And then our stuff kind of started in 2007, 2008 when I went to visit. And when his wife died, I remember him calling me while I was in college. And then post-college, we started talking more. I started visiting more. I think one time I visited 3 times in a year. He just really pushed for it. And he kind of made it happen. He paid for the tickets both ways, picked me up from the airport. We had time hanging out, talking. At first it was really nerve-wracking, and then eventually it got easy, and then kind of fell back a little bit because it was too easy.
Sure.
And then I kind of just went all in a little bit. I think we kind of fell back a little bit since me and you have been talking. Just because I feel like he may have feelings of shame and guilt, and I think that part of that may have led to him really pushing for a relationship with me before I went completely out of orbit. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It gets to a part where it's like the father-son relationship is hard to establish. The most we could be is kind of friendly and friends. And I think that he was like, with his new marriage, he was just like, "Let me get this done."
Well, I would imagine also, as you get older, you start to look back on the things that you've done over the course of your life. And I, as of whatever, this time, this date, don't have any major animosity towards him. And the main thing that I would just be curious about is what happened and why. So I think and this is obviously not something that you'd be responsible for, but if he and I were just to have an honest man-to-man conversation, and I mean, not even so much a conversation, but hey, I owe you an explanation for this shit.
Right.
I'd be like, okay, maybe we can't be buddy-buddy, but we would at least have the mutual respect of you coming to me and having that conversation.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention this. He does, I think, want you. But I think the way that he would want it to happen is I think he wants to protect himself, but that may not protect you. It may be too much for you. Okay. For you to come to Georgia and then be around an entire family. Like, no. I feel like it would have to first happen how this is happening.
Yeah.
Where it's
have to be like a one-on-one.
We're chilling. I think it is important for you to have a little bit more control of the situation. I wasn't really for you just coming down to Georgia and just meeting everybody at once. That's
it's
a lot.
Just so overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming.
The idea of it is so overwhelming.
It's very overwhelming. It's always been overwhelming for me, just the idea of people that know me that I don't know.
Right.
You know?
Right, same. And to make things even more complicated, there are members of my mom's family that live in the same area.
Yes.
So it would be awkward on both sides.
Yes. Yes. I think it's going to happen.
I mean, eventually, I think it will happen.
I think this is, I mean, for me, it's going so well.
Yeah. But I haven't kicked you out the house yet.
Yes, and I didn't try to book a hotel.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we have 6 months of prep for this.
Definitely.
To kind of make sure
even longer.
Yeah, to make sure that we had this vibe.
Yeah.
And it feels very natural. It's like we met up with my friend Jesse last night, and I think you were in the bathroom, and he was like, yo, thank you for making me a part of this.
Yeah.
He was like, I would never have known by the way that you two act towards each other that you
never met. Yeah. It's so easy. It's like one of the things that when I found out before I was waiting for the 23andMe results, when I saw you on LinkedIn, my mom always kept asking.
So,
go ahead.
I'm so confused right now.
Ask it.
So, you had found me before you even got the results.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. I'm just a punk.
I'm not hating on it.
I think I found you like November.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah,
and when did you get the 23andMe results?
February, maybe.
Oh wow! So it wasn't that long until we actually did start.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting. I went on your profile on 23andMe and it said you were inactive for a few months.
Right.
And I was just kind of saying like one day he's gonna pop in here and I'm just gonna be right there. And if he wants to talk to me, he will. I was very nervous about like inserting myself into your life, not knowing where you were or what was going on with you. But I remember my mom asking a lot, like, are you going to talk to him? And are you going to talk to him? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I was stalking you. So I was like, some of his backstory, I don't know if he'd be into that. I don't know how he feels. I don't know what he's battling. I don't know where he's at. And one of the things that my mom said was maybe he's looking for you. And I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, maybe what's missing for both of you is each other. And I thought of it was cool. It was very profound.
Yeah, it sounds like a movie.
It is like a movie. Because it has, I think, changed something for me.
Likewise.
It changed something for me. It's crazy being in your apartment and seeing so many things that pull an emotional response out of me. It's not like I'm in somebody else's. It's almost like I'm in my apartment. Or like I've always visited. You know, like I was here every Saturday.
You've been here a lot, right.
Yeah, so it's really cool. It's really cool. Parts of me wish that we had like movies in the 90s and we had that time, but you know.
Better late than never.
Yes.
I know that we've lost a sibling that I'm never going to get to meet.
Yes.
And that, I think, is really the cruelest thing of all, to know that I had a sister that passed away.
Yes.
And I didn't know she existed until after she was gone.
Yeah, it is nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
So the fact that we're both alive and we're having this conversation and you're sitting here and whatever, like that's bonus material right there. That's,
for sure.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
And we live the craziest thing for me. Because there's so many. Like this is just
a laundry list of crazy things.
Right. This is so unbelievable. Like when people say like you couldn't make this shit up, this is a you couldn't make this shit up.
Yeah.
Podcast. This is a you couldn't make this shit up life.
Right.
Basically. The fact that we were both living in Brooklyn, not too far from one another, at the exact same time, as adults,
it's pretty nuts.
Is nuts. And I've said this a million times before. People would come up to me, be like, Mike, I saw somebody on the street the other day that looked just like you, and I thought it was you. Or, do you have a brother that's like heavier than you or whatever? Mm-hmm. And I have a brother on my mom's side as well. Right. And I was like, no, my brother lives in Michigan. We don't look very much alike.
Right.
But it happened enough to where now that I know you, mm-hmm. I'm like, oh,
they
those people probably saw you. Yeah.
Yeah, because even though I went to undergrad in Connecticut, I did go to grad school here. I wasn't doing the whole Bushwick, Williamsburg shows thing, bars things. And
particularly if it's at a music venue.
Yes. Yeah. And
somebody that looks like me at a music venue that's not me.
Right. Yeah, I was at an off-Broadway show watching my soon-to-be brother-in-law. He was acting in a play, and I'm waiting for my fiance to use the bathroom, and this guy looks at me and comes over to me, and he's like, oh, shit, I'm so sorry, like, I thought you were my cousin. And I was like, I might be. Yeah, and it's happened. It's happened a lot to me. I kind of always assume I have a familiar face. A lot of people think that I look like somebody else. Right. There's a guy I went to college with that looks like us. He could be our third.
Tell him to go to 23andMe and spit in a cup.
Jordan, go spit in a cup for us, man. Please. We need to know.
Find out if you're a long-lost sibling.
Find out. The trifecta.
Right, or a cousin or some shit.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been the highlight of my adult life, for sure.
Wow.
For sure. I mean, a lot of cool things have happened. My nephew was born, I met my fiance, we got engaged, we have a good life. But I think not just finding out that I have a brother, but building a relationship with him, highlight.
Sure. I mean, me too. It's puzzle pieces, right? Mm-hmm. And for a long time, as an adult, I did not think that I was going to put the puzzle pieces together.
Right.
The one I knew about was the fact that I had a father somewhere.
Right.
And again, I didn't know if he was dead, alive, in jail, blah, 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 whatever, because I didn't have a name, really. Right. I didn't have anything to go on. And when I went on to 23andMe, the hope, and I don't want this to sound like a 23andMe commercial unless they're giving us some money.
23andMe.
Like, pony up.
Holler at us.
Give us a bag. I wanted somebody to lead me to him, to find out who he was, because that was the only person that I knew I didn't have at that point.
Right.
For whatever reason, it didn't occur to me that he has kids. Like, if he's alive, he has kids.
Right.
A lot of kids.
Several children.
Yes, lots of kids. But all of a sudden, it's like, oh, not only did this open a portal into who my father is, but he has other kids, so I have other brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. Or another brother and sisters.
Yeah, several sisters.
And several of those sisters have kids.
Yes.
So it's like I have nephews and nieces.
Yep.
And it's like, oh shit. Like, I think I was talking to my therapist, and I was comparing it to, you're a movie person, you've seen Back to the Future, obviously.
I have, yeah. Where
Marty McFly is in 1955, and the picture that he has of his siblings is like fading.
Yeah.
It feels like the opposite.
The
pictures coming into place.
That's beautiful.
And
that's really beautiful.
If you had told me 8 months ago, if you had told me New Year's Day 2021 that I was going to get the answers to these questions, that I was actually going to see a picture of my father.
Right.
And what he looks like.
Right.
And then, like, look at the picture of him, look at the picture of me, and be like, Oh yeah, that's my father.
That's it.
Cause like from here to
That's
here,
it. Yeah.
we have the same face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and the same stature too.
Really?
That's the thing that I figured out once I saw you in person. Is like you're both like I'm a bigger guy,
right?
But you two are like kind of smaller guys,
petite,
nimble. So that's even eerier because it's like you definitely you remind me of me. You also remind me of him.
Huh?
Just being around him and stuff.
Right. So. Yeah, it's like if you had told me that this stuff was gonna happen, I'd have been like, get the fuck out of here.
No way.
Yeah, that's crazy talk. But the fact that it has happened has certainly kind of lifted a cloud, kind of. Because I spent so many years like, what is this unknown thing?
Right.
So to have this thing that's so central to who you are, that's been unknown, and now I know.
It's illuminated, yeah. It's like you know more of who you are.
Yeah. It's like for however many years, I didn't know how to turn the light switch on, and now I know how to turn the light switch on.
Damn.
It's crazy to kind of think back on it, and it has lifted a lot of darkness.
Well, man, I'm glad. I was like, there was definitely a part of me that was in fear that it would bring more darkness.
Right. Which you never know how that's going to work.
Right.
You know, and it also, if I were a different kind of person, it would give me license to be super petty.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought about that too.
And, you know, not to say that I haven't been vaguely petty. I think I'm entitled to that.
I think so too.
Like, I'm really all about the past. Not the past is the past, because that kind of implies to me that I would need to forget about some shit.
Which you shouldn't. You don't have to, yeah.
But I understand, based on a little bit I know about the situation, that my mom and my dad were both kids.
Mm-hmm.
They might have done some dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
And the end result is I'm here.
Right.
You know, I'm alive. I've not had an easy life, but I'm alive.
Yes.
And, you know, I'm grateful for that fact.
Yes.
And, you know, these are the two people that gave me life.
Yes.
So, if nothing else, I'm here because of them.
I heard that.
And it's very possible that all these years later, they look back, I'm sure they look back on whatever happened with regret or shame or whatever it is. And if, like, the icing on the cake for me is if they can acknowledge that.
And I think, yeah, that's what it is. It's really the acknowledgement of things. Like, you can't rewrite the past.
Right.
But you can acknowledge the past. I think acknowledgement is the only way to move forward. It's the only way to move forward. It's like people do what they need to do, what they think they need to do in order to survive, in order to keep going.
Right.
But it gets to a point where things stop going and they stop. And in order to move to the next level, you need to go back. You need to look back and say, hey, like this was a mistake, or, you know, just saying that I did this thing.
Yeah. It's 5 words.
Yes.
I fucked up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, man. And I think we're trending in a good direction. I think that I feel very good about it.
Yeah. So you know what I like most about you is that you're not a bro.
Yeah.
And you're not, I don't want to use the word ratchet, but you were obviously raised very well.
Yeah.
And you're sensitive.
Yeah.
And you're thoughtful and you're intelligent. And those are the type of people that I want to be around on a regular basis. I can't say that's all the people that I'm related to.
Right.
I'm not even sure if I can say it's the majority of the people that I'm related to. But I mean, I got to give it up to your mom.
Shout out, Mom. I love you.
Because she obviously, like, put time and effort and care into making you the type of person that you are now.
Yeah, my mom was very singularly focused on me becoming a good man. Her father was a good man. I never got to meet him. When she had a boy, I'm her only son. She did what she thought she had to do to make sure that I was a good man, whatever that means. If it means having manners, if it means being sensitive, if it means being able to tell a joke or take a joke, that's what she did. And she definitely gave me a lot of power over like my path. And I was lucky. It was her, it was all my aunts, it was a lot of things I think that happened growing up that kind of led me to the path. Because I've had my moments where I'm not a nice person, where
We
I
all
struggled through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I think, again, about the timing. Like, we're meeting at prime time.
We're getting very good versions of ourselves.
Yes, I'm me. I don't know if 5 years ago if I could say I was me.
Right.
I was an approximation of what I thought I should be.
Same.
And now I'm just me. And I try to be honest with how I feel. I don't care how you take it, is just gonna be more informative for me.
Sure.
I'm gonna know what to do next based
Sure.
on how you take it. And it feels good to have someone, especially another man, be receptive of me being who I am.
Right.
Of me being sensitive, of me being thoughtful. I think when you're younger, in the world we live in, that's kind of seen as a weakness.
Yeah.
Or an opportunity for someone to take advantage
Yeah.
of you. But to have it be seen as a strength is really, I don't want to say rewarding, but it's validating. It gives me more pride in who I am and the ability to continue being who I am and not really trying to be anything else, you know?
And I do think that that's something that either the qualities you are raised with, or circumstances will lead you in a direction where you realize that
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure.
So I definitely think it speaks highly to, to your experience and the people that were around you,
Yeah.
cultivating you as you grew up. You got engaged.
I did.
A few months ago.
I did.
What was that like? I don't know what that feels like.
It was. What did Thanos say? It was inevitable. We've been together for a very long time. It's been about 8 years. A lot of our growing as people were done as a couple,
Okay.
as a unit. We allowed ourselves to be who we were, while at the same time we pushed ourselves to be better versions of ourselves for each other, you know? And it was... Once that ring was in my possession, it was the easiest hard thing I've ever done.
You were so nervous, man.
Dude, I was.
It was like, you called me that morning.
I was
He's
so
like,
nervous.
I was like, man, just do it.
I was so nervous. And it was like, for really no reason. I knew she was going to say yes. I knew we were kind of already there. So maybe it wasn't the easiest hard thing I've ever done. But I'm so used to like things being hard and kind of like maybe not doing it or finding a way around it. This is not something that you could do that with. But eventually I did it in our kitchen.
I mean, you could have just been like, you could have put the ring like under her pillow or some shit, like
yes.
like a note, just be like, look on the pillow. Like you can,
I could have did something.
if you want to
like,
be invasive,
yeah.
you can do that. But I feel like
Nah,
being direct is
I
the best.
had to. I put my knee brace on. I had to get on the knee.
Oh damn, you prepped.
I did it.
Baby, help me out.
It's crazy how it's crazy how it worked because she was cooking us a meal, and we were talking about being kids, and she had mentioned that her parents had said like, you were such a happy kid. Kind of like, what happened? You know what I mean? And just 2 days prior, I had spoken to both her parents to ask for their blessing, and one of the things that they both told me were that they have never seen her as happy as she is with me.
Aww.
And I wanted to tell her that while she was talking about her parents, and I knew that I couldn't, but I really wanted to reassure her like, hey, like you are still a happy person. You're kind of only talking about one side of it as a child, and that urge to kind of make her feel better or to tell her the truth was enough to kind of make me do it right then.
Okay.
I knew that once she had this ring on her hand, I could tell her, actually, your parents are super proud of you and super happy to see you happy, and they think that I'm one of the reasons why. And they said that they would love for me to be their son-in-law, and everything that you were anxious about it wasn't for naught, but it was like it was a solution that was found.
Right.
It was pretty awesome. She cried. It was great.
Oh,
It was awesome.
oh, that warms my heart.
It was awesome. Yeah, my heart's so warm. Genevieve, I love you, baby.
Oh, so you ready for that? Like you're 31 years old.
Yeah.
You're ready for like the.
So ready. What, domesticate? Yeah, man. That's my jam, man. I didn't realize.
Put the player card away.
Oh man, that player card has been. I don't know where it is now. It's gone. It's been gone for.
Wait, Evan, do we really have the same father?
Oh no, he's in a similar season of his
Well,
life.
he's a lot older than us.
That's true. That's true. But I think for me, I've never been. I care too much to just be kind of all over the place. Like I like knowing where I'm at, knowing what I'm dealing with, knowing who I'm with. I need trust. I need commitment. I need those things. And anytime that I feel like I don't need those things, it's usually just a phase. It's usually just like overthinking.
It's a moment.
Yes. I never thought that marriage was for me, at least like in my early 20s. But Genevieve and I, we're partners. We are like so much stronger together that it's like, why would I even deny myself that? Like, why would I even fuck that up?
Right.
Like, no way. That's something that you hold on to. That's it's a pillar, as I would call it. It's a pillar of who I am. So I think I'm ready. I'm ready for the whole house thing. I'm ready for the child.
Ready to be a dad.
I think so. Or I feel like I'm ready to be ready.
Okay.
You know, because who can really be 100% ready?
Sure.
But I think I'm ready to be ready. I've proven to myself that I'm a hard worker, that I thrive with consistency, and that I'm a lot older and more mature and knowledgeable than I ever thought I was. Maybe that's still not a lot.
I mean, you're more mature than a lot of people older than you that I know.
A lot of older people I know too. But yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready with her. I think like if it was like a situation that wasn't like the situation that I'm in, maybe not.
Right.
But she makes it very appealing. I think she's going to be an absolutely wonderful mother. She's a great partner. And my family has just kind of absorbed her. Like, I think they like her more than me.
I love that because you are in an interracial relationship.
Yes.
And I feel it's kind of a non-factor now because I'm not as close with people in my mom's family. There's also you have the benefit of being straight.
Yeah.
But if I was straight even, and I brought home a partner that wasn't black or, dark-skinned Latin person,
Right.
that there would be some weird, uncomfortable type moments.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been. Like, that's one of the
which I love.
Yeah, and I mean, even me, like, I was very nervous to meet her family. I think I told you the story. I get off the train and I go to shake, my soon-to-be father-in-law's hand, and he, like, knocks it away and hugs me. Like, Like what more? What?
Yeah, that's what
more?
you want.
What
Yeah.
more can
Welcome
you
to my
ask
family.
for?
Yeah.
Like you think that I'm the right one for
Right.
your daughter. I like it. At that point, I think in my life, race has always been an outside thing. Like inside our house, it wasn't really something that we talked about. I mean,
Right.
there was my stepfather is not really into white people, to say the least. But I always knew that wasn't me. Like, that wasn't me. Your experiences inform who you are. I haven't had that experience, and I'm not gonna take yours and make it mine.
Right.
I don't really see the point of that. I've always been open to whoever you are. Would I make a comment or a crack? Yeah, I was
But
that.
making a joke about something and being antagonistic towards, like, you can make, and I might put my whole foot in my whole mouth when I say this. I made I've made many racially related, or I make gay jokes all the time, and I'm clearly not homophobic.
Right.
But sometimes shit is just funny.
Sometimes shit is just
and sometimes
funny,
you
man.
want to say inappropriate shit just to get a laugh.
I definitely have. That's a gene.
Right.
That's a shared genetic thing.
Right. Is it? See, because my my side of the family is really sensitive about shit like that. Or at least the women in my family are.
No. We're pretty reckless.
Okay.
I think it might be a Guyanese thing.
Okay.
We're pretty reckless. I try to be this mature, like it's 2021, like being like that progressive guy. But it's like once you realize who you're saying these things with, we're all just trying to laugh.
Yeah.
And we don't want to hurt anyone.
Right.
And that's where I come from, is I don't want to hurt anyone. Let people define who they are for themselves. Let them be who they want to be. If you accept them, wonderful. If you don't accept them, leave them alone. Leave them alone. Let them live their life. I don't want to infringe on anyone's life. And so I think with that stuff, it's just kind of like, know your surroundings.
Right, your relatives
know who you're with.
They sound a lot looser than my relatives.
Some of them are. My immediate family, my mom and my sisters, we're all just... It's about fun.
Right.
It's about fun. And, it's a little chaotic. We do call each other out on things, but we love each other, I think, very deeply. And I think that, it's one of those things where, like, you can't choose your family, but we actually, like, enjoy each other,
exactly.
Which is cool.
Which is great.
Which is cool. So it's cool. They're all so excited for you. I wouldn't even say for me.
Fuck him.
Wait, so this is on recording, right?
Yeah.
I make a joke to my family all the time how they don't appreciate me. I make that joke all the time. I said, I just carry grocery bags. You know what I mean? I just carry grocery bags. And,
can you reach the tall shelves?
I reach the tall shelves. As I've become more older, I can do things, kind of bring different outside resources into our family unit that I think are appreciated. I brought Genevieve into the fold. They appreciate that. They love her.
Sure.
They definitely love her more than me. And they are so happy for you.
Because now I have somebody that can reach tall shelves.
Yes. And I think that in saying all that, it really makes sense that they do value me, because they feel like me being a part of your life is valuable for you.
It is.
And vice versa. And they want you there. They want you. They're calling you their brother, everything. Which I love. It's a little, it's a lot.
It makes me feel good.
It should. I hope so. It makes me feel good too. It makes me feel like I'm not doing this very big, important thing alone.
You're very supportive.
Yes, I do feel very supportive.
Which, again, is not to compare.
Right.
But, talking to the few relatives that I have told about this, it's kind of like, the younger folks are supportive.
Yeah.
My aunt, she, right after the first time I spoke to you, I called her.
Mm-hmm.
And, she was just like, wow.
Wow, yeah.
Like, over and over and over again. And we spoke again about it, maybe like a week later. And she asked about you.
Mm-hmm.
And this was after you had spoken to Joseph.
Okay.
And, I don't know, you said something to me at some point, like he wants to tell his side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt's like, well, make sure you listen to your mom's side of the story too. Mm-hmm. And in my brain, I'm like, she's actually had the time and the space to tell me her side of the story this whole time.
Right.
And hasn't.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I don't know. It is what it is, ultimately.
It is.
And again, you're not, that part's not about you.
Right.
That's not about yours and my relationship.
Right.
Which is separate from anything regarding our father or my mother or, whatever was involved in that shit.
Right.
It has nothing to do. We're both innocent parties here. But it just kind of to have, and friends of mine, I've told, a lot of my friends about this, have been super supportive.
Yeah.
And, you look on the social media and see how many people are just super
Insane.
happy.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. But I feel like to have family members that are sort of supportive of this also is just like a blessing.
Yeah,
It's
been really cool. It's been really cool. They know that the relationship with my father is complicated, and they know that my feelings about him are. There's of course a lot of love there. Just time, man. Time is so big. Time is so big. You look at any deficiency you have, and you could kind of place it on this party not being there.
Sure.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
It was harder when I was younger. It's easier now, being 31. But man, it has gone a long way. I even mentioned some of my cousins. They're like, "What? That's crazy."
Right.
Like, I'm like, that's crazy.
Whatever, what happened.
Yeah, it did.
I can't go back and change anything.
Mm-mm.
They can't go back and change anything. The best thing you can do is move forward.
Move forward, yeah. And, it's cool. It's cool to the idea of us moving forward together. It's really cool.
Yeah. So, like, I guess there's two questions.
Okay.
Where do you see this going, and where do you see yourself going?
Okay.
Like, you've obviously you're going to get married, and you're going to have a kid.
Yeah.
But what is kind of and personally, I'm not like a big believer in like big life plans.
Right.
Because if you say that your goal is to do some shit, the world is going to conspire to fuck it up.
Right.
But like, what is your ideal future look like?
Okay, so, and I guess that my answer is the same for both of those questions, and it is, family is a very fractured thing. Our family is very fractured. I am willing to take on the responsibility of sealing some of those cracks up.
It's a lot of responsibility, bro.
It is, and it's not that every crack is going to be sealed, but I would love to be able to reinforce the circle I'm in. That involves you being a part of my life, not just like on the peripheral. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you being a part of my life. My sisters being a part of my life, my father being a part of my life, my mother, Genevieve's father, Genevieve's mother, Genevieve's brother, and us having a relationship. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's what I want. I don't want children with multiple women. I don't want half-brothers, step-brothers, step-sisters. All that stuff is great. We're all family, but I don't want that. And
Right.
I have a unique opportunity to kind of define that.
Right.
And make that so.
You can write that narrative.
Yes, and that I'm 100% for it. Defining these things for myself. Raising any potential children in something that is not as fractured as what I grew up in.
Sure.
Or what you grew up in. Giving them the opportunity to have Uncle Mike, Aunt Amanda, Aunt Maya, Aunt Tyler, Aunt Gabby. I want them to have all of that. And selfishly, I want all that too. I'm still learning how to, build something when you don't have the blueprint and you don't have all the pieces. I still struggle with the idea of not being a good brother, especially to like my dad's daughters. I just feel like I was just not there. And when they probably needed me the most, I was very much into building myself and trying to get out of whatever depressive rut I was in.
Sure.
And just, taking more time to be there, to be me, and to give them me, and for them to be a part of me, and for us to be a family. That's what I see. Family. A family defined by me. And yeah, man, I just see you being I see big things for us. I see us, going and see some of the world together. I see you being there when I'm married. I see myself being there if you get married. Or at least
I don't even know what that shit looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I see that. I see us going to shows eventually. I see us spending a lot of time. I love just kind of sitting there and watching NBA dunks. Like that.
It's dope.
That's
dope
really
shit.
dope. It's really dope. I see a lot of something in nothingness for us. I see a lot of just kind of absorbing each other. putting you on to different movies. You putting me on to music, which you have already. I see more coffees, more brunches. I see us becoming friends, like friends.
I mean, we are friends.
Yeah,
yes.
but I mean, like, it's just like, you know, you don't choose your family,
right?
And it's like you do have, you know, people that you love, but you don't necessarily want to spend time with them all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, look, I love all of my relatives.
Same.
I don't like many of them.
Okay.
But you know, when family is there for you, when people feed you and clothe you and house you, it's not even a matter of like it's we're not friends.
Yeah. It's we're family.
Right.
That's where the commitment is.
Right. And there are family members that I am friends with that I do love very dearly. So, you know, there's a little bit of everything kind of mixed in there.
Right, for sure.
But I think you and I have already, you know, in these few months built up a relationship that is sort of transcendent of just family.
Yeah, it's strong.
Right.
I think it's strong.
Like, it's, you know, we actually enjoy each other's, we like talking to each other and enjoy each other's company. Mm-hmm. And again, sort of speaking from the perspective of someone who would not want to spend a half hour in a room with certain people that I'm related to.
Right.
We're on day 2, and
it's pretty.
And it's good.
Yeah, good. It's good. You kind of get in. We get each other.
Right.
We get each other, and we already kind of instinctively know how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel forced at all.
Not at all.
I have a question for you. Could I ask?
Oh, you can ask as many questions.
I guess
as
I
you
want to
Evan.
ask the same question. Where do you see this? Where do you see this going? Where do you want this to go?
What's this?
I don't know. You tell me.
Asking me the goddamn question.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I'm not very. I like answering questions. I don't like asking questions. Okay, I would say. I don't know.
Because it could be. I mean, you could be talking about our relationship. You could be talking about my life. You could be talking about. I don't know specifically what you're.
So when you coming down to Georgia, man, when are we gonna have this cookout, man? When are we gonna have this cookout, man? When are we taking our daddy son's pictures?
Oh God!
With us with our arms around each other.
We need to. You know what needs to happen before that? Me and Dad need to have a conversation.
Okay. Cool.
And I don't know how that conversation takes place.
Right.
I'm open to it.
Okay.
But I don't want to meet my father for the first time around a group of people that I don't know.
I hear that.
And I don't even know if I want to do it around a group of people, period.
I hear that.
I want it to be me and him. And it could be me, him, and you.
At Chili's or something.
Yeah. It could be me, him, and my mom, which will never happen.
Never. I could imagine that being very bad, actually.
Yes. like me, him, and a mediator of some sort.
Right.
You know, you are like family.
Yeah.
I mean, family, to me, family isn't the people, relatives are the people that you're related to.
Right.
Family is the people that are part of my life that I want to keep in my life, that know about me in the most honest fashion that I present myself.
Right.
You know, so to me, you're already family.
Same.
So that will grow over time as we get to know each other better and spend more time around one another in person, you know, and talk more and what have you.
Right.
Like Georgia, it's on my mind, man. There's actually a song called Georgia. I'm never doing that again.
You have to like input that in the pod. I just thought of something.
What?
I mean, you have another brother.
Yes.
You're my only brother. Like,
True.
It's like any spawn that I have, you would be.
I would be their only uncle.
Well, Genevieve also has a brother.
Okay.
But that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know, me and my brother on my mom's side are not incredibly close.
Okay.
Like, we know each other, we like each other.
Right.
But he's where he is and I'm where I am, and we don't really have a lot of contact.
Right.
Outside of, you know, social media and like happy birthday and shit like that.
Right.
So this already feels like more of the brother type relationship that I've wanted.
That I thought that I
right.
Like that I've always thought it should be like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I just, you know, I think we've already established. You know, we've established a relationship. We've established a relationship that's based on honesty and communication, which are the two things that I think are most important to cultivating and developing any relationship.
I agree.
And I think as long as we keep that communication and honesty going forward,
Sky's the limit, right?
You'll be good.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, man, Georgia is kind of like me and Joseph need to have a sit down, have a man-to-man sit down.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be like a mediated sit down, so there isn't any situation like me going fuck this and walking out.
Yeah.
Because I just like I don't want to be. I don't want to be smooth talked. I don't want to be slick talked.
Yeah.
I want real shit. Like,
The
tell
truth.
me what happened. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable it makes you.
Right.
It doesn't matter how bad it is. But tell me what happened. Because it's like, I'm an actual three-dimensional person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the repercussions of what you have made have affected
your entire
the last
life, your
45
entire
years.
being.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we need to lay that out. And I'm not going to come to you with, like, I'm not going to come and be like hard body, like animosity, like,
Yeah.
fuck you. I'm not going to come with like,
Yeah.
but you got to come at me right.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And then the rest of the family can kind of fold in.
Yeah. Come in.
Yeah.
Meet the sisters.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah,
and,
man.
and we can work from there.
I hear that. I'd be that mediator.
Yeah.
I'd go with you guys.
Was that what you meant by the question you asked?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I just really wanted. I don't know. I don't really know what I want. This is already what I want.
Right. I mean,
I'm cool with it being just this.
Right. I'm more excited to meet like your mother. And then
Yeah,
meet
they
Genevieve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They love you. They want you. They want you around. Yeah, they're good people.
And also, y'all live in the South.
We live in the South, but you know, it's also like we live in our thing. You know what I mean? I mean, it's different.
I feel like if I'm walking around and I see a MAGA hat, I'm just gonna like have a moment. And...
I haven't seen any. Last 2 years, I haven't seen any MAGA hats. I've seen a lot of Confederate stuff.
That doesn't make me as mad as the MAGA hats.
Yeah, well, you see, I think the thing that I struggle with is it doesn't make me mad at all.
Okay.
I do comment on it. I'm just like, look at Jimmy Bob here. You know what I mean? I do, but you know, it's like you said, like everybody has a life that's been impacted by someone else.
Right.
And you can't control that. You can control the person you are now.
Right.
I made a decision a long time ago, maybe like 7 years ago, that the person that I want to be is a Zen-like, more humanist person.
I respect that.
And so, like you said, once you enter my circle, you need to come correctly for you to be a permanent part of it. But if you are outside of my circle, as long as you don't affect me or hurt somebody, I try not to think about
Right.
you. I try not to think about you. I've had some people that I thought would react very negatively to me do the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And I think that all of us, except for those people that are really like, I hate to use the word crazy, but except for those people that really are just limited in the fact like they cannot, all of us have the capability to do something different, to be different, to grow,
Evolve.
to learn.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think the moment that we start acting like we're unable to do that is the moment that we kind of give up on people. And then it's like, well, what's it all for? What's it all for? I would love to just kind of survive this life. But I would much more love to enjoy this life.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, man.
We're not promised one after this.
No, sir.
So,
No, sir.
do the best you can with what you got while you're here.
Yeah, there's not. Come on, man. There's no room in here for any hate, like anger, agitatedness, frustration.
Yes.
You know, but hate. My mom always said hate's a very strong word. If you hate somebody, then you know it says as much about you as it says about them, and so. I try to be chill. I try to be cool. You know what I mean? Would I walk up to somebody with a Confederate jacket on and be like, yo, what's good? Let's be homies?
I mean, that's probably also not a good idea.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. But I've also in Georgia seen like black and white, like rocking.
Right.
And I like you mentioned, I'm in an interracial relationship. We rock. You know, it's tight. It's natural. So, you know, I just kind of leave the opportunity open. I don't have a wall up. I used to have a very large wall, against anybody.
Sure.
But I don't really have one now. I'm just just into being Evan, even if that's a little narcissistic. I'm just into being Evan.
You are. One thing I always try to say, and I don't know how it comes across to other people, I don't really care how it comes across to other people, is at the end of the day, you have you.
Yeah.
You got to concentrate on you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean concentrate on you to the concentrate on just you and leave out everybody else.
Right.
But prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is also prioritizing themselves. Whether they say they are, they're not. They are prioritizing themselves. Don't be self to the exclusion of other people is what I was needing to say.
And I agree. Like, if you see yourself as a caregiver or a good friend, you cannot be those things without first knowing self and loving self and trusting self. How can you now give advice or give love to somebody else when you don't know you? That it feels shallow in a way. It feels like kind of automated, like you're doing what you think you're supposed to do as opposed to what you really want to do.
You're not doing it from the heart. You're doing it because you think you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, no, I like be yourself, and then whoever disappears, it's for a reason.
Right.
Whoever sticks around, those people are
The ones
legit.
that,
Yes.
Yep, they're the real ones.
Yes, the real ones. And I'm all about real. I'm all about 3D. That's my main goal, is to be a three-dimensional person.
I love it.
And, just chilling, man. So, until I have a moment, I'm going to go off what I already know and feel.
Right.
I already know what the news is like. I already know what TV movies are like.
Game.
Yeah. I know what it is. And not to say that everything is untrue, but not everything is true. And some things are very true and blown up. Some things are very big and made small.
Right.
You still have a responsibility as a person to
think for yourself.
Yes, 100%. And
I'm 100% approving thinking for yourself.
Yes, sir.
It's the best thing you can do in this world.
The best thing.
Unless you're drinking like horse piss or whatever it is.
Yeah, no horse piss. No horse piss. No, we could talk about this COVID.
It's a whole.
We could talk about this COVID thing. I'm just like let's not talk about it.
Did you have any more questions for me, Edwin?
Oh man.
Not to put you on the spot.
No, being on the spot is cool. More questions. Is that Miguel the singer?
Yes.
Miguel Jantel?
Yes.
Okay. If you've never, this is not a question. This is more of an observation. If you've never been to Mike Joseph's apartment, this is a museum. This is a museum. It's almost a crime to not have a larger space with more stuff in it. Because this is, everywhere you look, there is a feeling. There is an idea. There is a portal somewhere that will just take you somewhere else.
I want the place that I live to have to have my personality.
It's so cozy. It's just so, when I want to think about, even though that's a later Knicks team, but it's a very good,
it's a great Knicks team.
Mid 90s, late 90s Knicks team. Starks there with the face mask, but just so much Prince and Neon Indian and Barack Obama and James Brown, and it's just like, and Lenny's here, and man, it's just, the vibe is incredible. I love these Funko Pops.
I mean, for me, like, art and culture is so important to me.
Yes.
It's so important to the person that I am.
Right.
Sometimes you go to people's houses and you look around and it's just like, who are you? And
Yeah.
what are you about? You just have
You're like
no
a catalog.
idea. Yeah. Like, this looks like random IKEA house in catalog, right? I don't, like, this isn't the Waldorf Astoria.
Right.
This isn't a super high-end Brooklyn apartment.
Right.
But when you walk into my space,
It's Mike Joseph.
you get my flavor.
Yes, sir.
You get my vibe. Yes. I'm sprinkling my
Yeah. I know what I'm getting you for Christmas, though. I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Is it a secret?
Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
I'm getting you a fly-ass chair.
Please.
A fly-ass chair, because this
chair is hurting my ass.
This is the cockpit,
Right.
and you need to have the captain's chair.
I would, yes.
Yes.
Although Phil would probably just end up sitting there.
Shout out to Phil. Shout out to my nephew Phil.
I don't know where you going. He's probably laying on your shit.
He's
again.
probably laying on my shit.
I think he wants to go home with you.
I'll take him.
Don't do that.
I know he's your friend.
Yes. He's my son.
Oh, yeah, he's your son.
I love how that ended. And this is probably just a part one of several, but we actually really wanted to record this conversation and put it out in the world. I think maybe some people might think it's maybe too close of a look in, or we're deliberately putting people in our business, but it's our lives to share. And we hope that you enjoy this conversation. And if you have any questions about a relative that you may have that you don't know about or that you have a fuzzy history on, I will fully endorse 23andMe, and they're not giving me any money, but check them out in case you are interested in anything related to your genealogy. You can follow Evan on Instagram at Daoddest, that is DAODDEST. And I want to thank Evan for allowing me to record this conversation and for putting it out there. And I want to thank him for looking for me and putting all of the things in place so that we were able to find each other.